Sweet, sweet.
Hi, and thanks for coming to watch this video from Carolina Varsity. We're taking a look at the regional finals here. And this is a West Region 2A game of number 1 seed Lincolnton facing number 1 Reidsville. Jeff?
Yes, this is a pretty intriguing matchup, for both teams. Both teams have put up the numbers offensively, but I think Reidsville's defense has stood a little taller than Lincolnton's has this year. Reidsville has had one game where they've scored in the 70s, 4 games where they scored in the 60s, 3 in the 50s, and 2 in the 40s. So they've put up numbers. And
right.
Lincolnton had 1 in the 70s and 3 in the 60s and 2 in the 50s and 6, in the 40s. And Reidsville's pitched 7 shutouts. And at some point in the season, they pitched 5 in a row and held 2 opponents to 2 single digits. Lincolnton, on the other hand, has only pitched 1 shutout and has only allowed 3 teams to score in single digits. The real head-scratcher, though, if you're a Lincolnton fan, is the maiden game.
Yep.
Because you allowed 65 points after having a solid defense all year, and it's like, what just happened? You just got clobbered 65-47. Now, last week they allowed some numbers too, but that was their one game where they put up over 70 points was a 72-44 win over Hendersonville, and they're going to have to buckle up on defense against this Reidsville team, and. The lowest Reidsville has scored this year was 24 points, and the lowest Lincolnton has scored this year is 25 points. So it could be an offensive shootout, for sure.
Yeah, I tend to think from what I looked at, Jeff, that I think Reidsville's got a little bit better defense, it looks like. Kind of hard to compare these two, but that was one of the things that kind of stood out to me. Both of them put up a lot of points, so I could see a fair number of points being scored in this game. But I think Lincolnton's going to have to show a lot better defense than what I think they're going to bring to the game. Because I look at that maiden game, and yeah, it's a head-scratcher, but a lot of points were put up in that game. And then they've given up. They gave up a fair number of points to Hendersonville last week. They won because they outscored them, but, they still gave up over 40 points. So, to me, that's kind of an indicator that maybe Reidsville with a little bit better defense and high offense, they'll take this ball game. I tried to find some stats on Reidsville and I couldn't, but just a few stats for the people out there, a few things for you guys to think about. The quarterback Cordell Littlejohn, he on the season is thrown for 3,576 yards. He's had a pretty good season, 49 TDs. And what I look at when I look at a quarterback, I like to look at that QB rating because that kind of gives you a good idea. Does he complete passes and a lot of touchdowns, a few interceptions, et cetera. That's a pretty good rating. He also ran for 332 yards this season. Xavier McLean, that's their big running back. 2,100 yards so far this season, 29 TDs. And then, of course, everybody should know about Sage Surratt, right?
Sage Surratt will be like the ultimate X factor in that game, I think.
Well, he's a force on both sides of the ball. He had 2,031 yards receiving this year. That is awesome, just absolutely awesome. And 108 tackles on the season. So he has played a great football this season. Of course, he was at East Lincoln last year and transferred over to Lincolnton. And if they can get through Reidsville, the winner of this game might be the state champion. I think there's a good chance of that being the case.
And you got somebody else listed.
Oh, well, yeah, I do like to point out lineman Noah Keener, 6'3", 274. They listed, the only lineman that they listed with pancakes, this really isn't a great number on the season. They listed him for 6, but You know what? It was up there on Max Preps. I wanted to call them out because I like to call out you guys that don't get heard from often. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Come to the site. Tell us what you think about the ball game. If you attend the ball game, we'd love to hear what you thought about it. Thank you.
Some joy,
Sweet, sweet
memories
memories you
are
gave
made of this.
can't beat the memories you gave me.
Don't
Sweet, sweet